Hello, everyone. Welcome to Startup Grind Grand Rapids. This is our September event. We're really excited to invite Katrina here, a local champion, helping us with our entrepreneurial ecosystem with her work that she does in the community as well as with junior achievement of the Michigan Great Lakes. And then she's brought on another panelist with her, Steve, who recently was awarded for his 40 years of volunteering and commitment to junior achievement and youth entrepreneurship. So I'd like to start with just a couple of introductions from each of you. Katrina, maybe you could start us off, and let's learn about kind of like your professional journey, how you found junior achievement, and we can go from there.
Sounds good. So yeah, like you said, I'm Katrina Begrow, the Senior Special Events Manager for Junior Achievement of the Michigan Great Lakes, probably the longest title. And I've been with JA a little bit over 3 years now, and it is totally, absolutely my passion. It's actually my first official job out of college. I graduated from Grand Valley in 2018 with a degree in advertising and public relations. And I really always wanted to do special events and kind of fell into junior achievement through my job hunting experience. I unluckily did not have JA when I was in school, and I'm very jealous because I wish I would have had these kinds of opportunities. I mean, learning about JA in the 3 years I've been working here, it's really incredible what we do and how everything that we have accomplished. Junior achievement has been around an incredibly long time, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit more, but I'll introduce, Steve Carlson. He has been one of our longest board members and our longest volunteer, again, of 40 years, and excited that Steve is going to join us today to talk about JA. So I'll let Steve talk about himself for a little bit.
Thanks, Katrina. Yes, when you talk about being a volunteer for 40 years, I came to a realization this month that 50 years ago, in September of 1971, a representative from JA came to my high school and said, we have these opportunities for students to come to the JA Center and form your own business, start your own company, and give it a try, see if you can make a success and make some money. And I've been hooked ever since. And so shows by my years of helping and volunteer and staying engaged on the board of directors. I just retired about 2 years ago from a career in the aerospace industry. Significant number of the years here in Grand Rapids, have continued to be involved through job shadow days, career days, in-school programming that JA offers. I've found it always a benefit to me personally as well, hopefully to the students. But I'm really excited about now this new opportunity with the building that we have, the Free Enterprise Center, to start talking to more high school students about, that entrepreneurial spirit and starting and running your own company. So I'm really excited as well for the future here.
Yeah, so a little bit, kind of about the past of junior achievement. JA started a little bit over 100 years ago, actually, and was a high school program only after school, where students got into groups with community leaders and business leaders and actually started their own company. And they made and created their own products and sold it for real money. And they kind of helped them along the process of starting, a business plan and marketing. There was the CEO, there was the VP, and it was a really long program. And probably in the 70s and 80s, we kind of thought, what really is junior achievement about? And that's kind of where we came up with our 3 core pillars of financial literacy, work and career readiness, and entrepreneurship. And that's where we started to go more in school. And now we are K through 12, all in school. And there's about 104 junior achievements across the country. We're actually worldwide. I mean, we reach over 1 million students, way over a million students, every single school year worldwide. Junior Achievement of the Michigan Great Lakes has been around since the 50s. And pre-COVID, when we were reaching our height, we were reaching about 70,000 students across our 50 county footprint. So that means that we have the entire UP and pretty much everything that half of the state down. So again, over 50 counties, which is really exciting. When the students are in kindergarten, you think, how can you really talk to them about entrepreneurship and work readiness? Well, we start small by teaching them the difference between wants and needs. Do I want the candy bar? Do I need the candy bar? And then every year we kind of expand on that idea. So it's JA ourselves, our families, our communities. That's where we introduce small businesses and how small businesses are so important to our community and why we should be supporting them. And then again, expanding on that idea every single year. And then when they are in junior high and in high school, that's where it gets a little bit more selective, where the teachers can really select maybe something like JA, economics, JA company program, which is again what I stated before, which we started 100 years ago. We still have this program to this day. It's still a semester-long program. They're still creating their own business, creating and selling real products, and any money that they make, they actually get to keep. Some of these businesses range from candles, coasters, fanny packs and scrunchies were really popular last year, which is kind of hilarious to me that it's kind of 90s are being brought back. So, so Steve would, be a volunteer and kind of help these students across the entire semester-long program, where they would help them create, this business plan, help them define a social media marketing plan, where are they going to get their supplies from. I'll share just a quick story from one of my favorite company students called Echo Granite. And there were these students of Hispanic descent, and all of their families were immigrants. And all of them were at high school. They're probably, 16, 17-year-old boys who were working at a concrete facility after school, and they wanted to make more money for their families. So using all of this scrap material that they were able to get from their, concrete and marble facilities that they were working at. So they got their material completely for free. They were able to make cutting boards and sell these cutting boards in the shape of Michigan, or were able to etch the Michigan State or Grand Valley logo onto it, and selling them for, $60, $70, so almost 100% profit. And so some of these students were having these businesses that they were creating to help put food on the family's tables. And some of these students were just doing it because it was fun. It was fun to make fanny packs with their school logos and do other things. So it's really exciting to kind of see the range of kind of where these students are in their entrepreneurial, discovery.
So appreciate the background there. Before we get into asking a little bit more about what the current and future programming that you guys have, I'd like to hear from Steve, maybe a couple anecdotes of maybe a few of your favorite youth entrepreneurs. It's a lot of a history to mine from, but I'd love to hear a couple examples if you can.
Well, the development of the students, I find just very rewarding. As Katrina was mentioning, I had a company that I was an advisor for 2 years ago at Kellogg'sville. And this is one of the companies that she mentioned that formed Tricenta. They were making scented candles. And, it seemed pretty innocuous at first, but to watch the students develop to the point where they wanted to continue the business. And then the president of the company ended up the MC at the Business Hall of Fame, the big black tie fundraiser event for all of junior achievement, just blew me away. Because when I'm in the classroom with them, and this is pre-COVID, getting the leaders of the company to stand up in front of the class, similar to a Shark Tank kind of an affair, and have them explain what they're doing in their business and explain, the challenge that they're facing and how they're going to overcome it. I would never have pictured him to be a student that would be speaking in front of 500 to 1,000 people at a banquet. And so it was just very rewarding to see that. And that's just the most recent one. If you want to go back 40 years, There was a gentleman that I was in JA with and ended up being a CEO of a local company here, and had a great career running a business locally. So I think that broad range of skills that the student can explore in a company, if they want to be in leadership or sales, they may find out they love working the finance and the books of it. It gives them that opportunity to explore those different career paths in a safe environment with a mentor, a local business leader. So it's a very low risk opportunity that then they can take it and grow however they like.
Awesome, thank you. Now, when we're learning about programs, no matter like what they do or where they're located, we also kind of want to know how effective are they? Or are you just like really good at selling and that's why you continue to get supported? So maybe Katrina, you could tell us a couple stats that support like why you exist.
So we actually do pretty heavy statistics on our alum. My echoey. So junior achievement, Junior Achievement USA, which is where we're headquartered in Colorado Springs, does really heavy, again, studies on our alum. We actually just came out with a, recent study in our alum, and one of my, favorite statistics, 1 in 5 students actually go into the career path that their JA volunteer was in. So that's something that I think is so important. We really try and highlight, representation and diversity. So, like, for example, like if you ask a student in 5th or 6th grade, what jobs are there in a hospital? They might think of doctor, nurse, front desk receptionist, maybe a couple more if, they have been in a hospital before for something. But students don't understand the huge umbrella that is under a hospital. Same with like engineering. They might think, oh, a engineer, but they don't really understand some of the wide umbrellas of what an engineer can really be. So again, I think that's, our representation is so important. So again, 1 in 5 students go into the career path, and over 40% of our alum have actually owned or have currently owned their own small business, whether that be an Etsy shop or Fortune 500 company. We find really good success in introducing our students, into the entrepreneurship world. So we have a ton of statistics on our alum, and especially on our diversity. I believe over 60% of our alum are actually people of color, and that's what we're really trying, being proud of. Not only trying to get more entrepreneurs, but more people of color to be entrepreneurs. I think that's something that Grand Rapids does a really fantastic job of. So we're just trying to help emphasize that as much as possible.
Cool, thank you. Now, Steve, I'm wondering if the students that you've had the privilege of being around and mentoring and working with through JA, has that been at any point like a good recruiting pool as you've moved through your career?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. As we have locally here, then encourage them. Of course, coming out of high school, then they're usually on to some sort of secondary college education at some point in time. But absolutely, we throw them in the pool, and that's always seen as a plus when they've been in a situation like that, because not only have they been exposed to the different functions of how a business runs, but usually then they find they have to work as teammates. And I find it really, interesting last year when one of the leaders of this business said, I had to fire my partner because he wasn't doing anything. So, even at the high school age, they find out that sometimes you either need to bring in other expertise that you don't have, or you may need to jettison somebody who's not contributing and supporting the cause. So I think that those learning experiences, give them great credibility when it comes time to coming on board to an aerospace company or any company and seeing how you work as a team to accomplish goals.
Awesome. So I guess a little extension from that question is, Katrina, since you're working in development, and that probably means a lot of partnerships with local firms, businesses, whether public, private, what kind of support does Junior Achievement get from like those sectors, and why do they participate and contribute?
Mhm. So I say we get a wide variety of supporters, whether that be financial supporters and volunteers are probably the two that are obviously most popular. I'm really proud of our board. We have a really strong board of a lot of C-suite members of our community. And, some of them are JA champions where they give us over $10,000 in a fiscal year. And that, goes a lot all into our programming to help expand us every single year. Or we have people that, don't have a lot of, financial support themselves if they're, running a small business. And so we ask that they can just give their time instead. We say our volunteers are really our secret sauce. That's where we find us to be most successful. Because of course, we can give our programming to a teacher and we can give them all the worksheets and the information. But what's most exciting to a student is when a volunteer gets to come into the day and they get that special person that gets to come in once a week, for 5 weeks and gets to talk about, their own life experiences and share their own stories. Because, that's what our programming is all really about. We give the volunteer everything that they could need. It gives them the full teacher's manual, all the worksheets, all the activities, but we give them spots and spots and spots to insert their own stories of examples that they came across in their own career path. And so I think giving their time is something that is, I think, most valuable. And of course, being financial support is, like my virtual background here is JA BizTown, which we will get into in a little bit in the future. But, like I'll highlight, Bissell behind us. Bissell has been a long, one of our longtime supporters. They're actually one of the original donors that helped to get JA started back in, Grand Rapids in 1955. And they're still supporters of us to this day, 70 years later, and is actually one of our storefronts in JA BizTown. So if that doesn't show why, why someone is, can be so passionate about us, because not only does it help, maybe their own children be more, financially literate, but it helps just that worker pipeline also. It helps them get their, our future generations more educated about entrepreneurship or more educated about their own career paths, because we know, college isn't for every student, and maybe some students want to go work right away. So we really, trying to highlight, the manufacturing world, or we know students are really passionate about animals. We could teach about zoology and being a vet. And so I think a lot of our local businesses can see that we can help out, not only their worker pipeline, but just future generations just being more educated about, their own financial literacy.
And Corey, if I can just, tag on to that, because, spot on as Katrina was saying. So when I was at local companies here trying to hire people, I would find that having these students educated on how a business operated makes them better employees. And when I would try to recruit people to come here to work in Grand Rapids, I would always impress upon them the fact that Grand Rapids had such a great, diverse, capable employment base here, and they were always impressed with the quality and the caliber of students. And so by our companies supporting financially and with volunteer hours, we're continuing to educate, develop that future employee. So that was very key to how we approached it from our standpoint.
Cool. Now, Katrina, you've spoken about like the kinds of support and where you're getting support, but I'm also interested in learning about some of the gaps. So like, what are maybe some gaps that, we can, or the people like listening or watching this recording, like what kind of industries or what kind of segments, what kind of like what areas, what schools do you want to get to know?
Yeah, I would say we get a lot of heavy support, from financial institutions, just because, it just kind of makes sense that one of our, three core pillars is financial literacy. So we do get a lot of support, from banking institutes, investment companies. So I would like to see us kind of get more into maybe, that STEM or the manufacturing world. I think the manufacturing world is something that we can really highlight a lot more in the next couple of years, because I think we even see it now to this day that there is just a lot of employer shortages, that nobody wants to go into, these quote unquote, blue collar job or, blue collar jobs anymore, that people want to, they think that they need to go into college and then they need to get, that into that next step and go into the office world. And I think we can do a lot more, again, for that direct worker pipeline. So I would like to see manufacturing be highlighted in the next couple of years. And I think just that small businesses also, we do get a lot of support, from large institutions, but I think we can always get more support from these smaller businesses, because I think that's what a lot of these student entrepreneurs are going to be more likely. They're going to have some of these smaller businesses where they have less than 50 employees, if they have any employees at all, whether it's like a creative Etsy kind of shop, or if they're doing a marketing firm. So I would like to get a lot more volunteers from that small business world to kind of talk about what it was like starting a business from nothing, if they had to get grants, if they had to get loans, kind of what that business ladder was really like. So that's something that I would like to highlight a lot more.
Yeah, and I appreciated Megan's comment about journeymans. There's significant need in the world of trades right now for skilled work. And the challenge there is you could be a great electrician or plumber or carpenter, but I think, Corey, the idea of then starting and running your own business to people who've, their business, their electric business has been so successful, I don't need to advertise anymore. Doing electrician work. I don't like doing all the payroll and the HR stuff. And so helping these people who have that entrepreneurial spirit to put their skill or trade to practice and still be able to then run a business and start it up, I think is very key.
Yes, agreed.
Cool. So now I'd like to learn a little bit more about this Free Enterprise Center. Now, I personally went through the JA curriculum as a student when I was in high school. Really did open my eyes, because we're all kind of a product of our immediate network and our surroundings, right? So as I was growing up, I could either go into the restaurant life like my dad, or I could become a teacher like my mom, or I had my grandparents saying, oh, well, you should be in tool and die, or you should do this, you should do that. A lot of you should be doing this, right? But JA really opened my eyes and said, oh, I can actually do anything. And then I had the privilege to be at an institution, a high school that had a business law class. And then that even blew my mind. I was like, what? This is, it really set me up. And I ended up having my first business when I was 14 because of that. And then I've just been like a hopeless entrepreneur since, ups and downs, all the fun stuff. Now that the programming is not just distributed into schools and school systems, and you have to be lucky enough to be plopped in front of a JA presenter to be in the program. Now we have this Free Enterprise Center, like an actual physical location. How many of these exist around the world? What does it do? Is everyone welcome? Tell us.
Yeah. So this has been a long time project of ours, and really just started getting a lot more heat under its belt in the last just short couple years. I know when I just got hired, we had this plot of land that we were going to kind of build this facility on. There's only, again, like I said, there's about 100, just over 100 junior achievements across the country, but only about 20 to 30 of these facilities, and not all of these across the country. And not all of these facilities have all of the learning labs that we do. We have 3 learning labs. So one of them is the Tom Fox family JA BizTown. which is for younger students, elementary, and then middle school. And then we have the Carl and Susan Haskell JA Finance Park, which is for high schoolers. And then the Hayworth Entrepreneurial Incubator, which highlights more of the company program. So some of these other JAs might only have JA BizTown, or they might only have Finance Park. So we're one of the very few that has all three learning labs. And I believe we are only the second in the country to have this entrepreneurial incubator, which is kind of our own thing. So that's, kind of really exciting. So, again, like I said, when I first got hired, we had this plot of land that we were going to build from the ground up and base off of the JA in Wisconsin. We visited their facility. Our president, Bill Codier, and vice president of development, Jay Ediger, loved the facility, and we were going to base our blueprints almost exactly off of that. Well, in the last, 2 years, Steve, we had this opportunity to buy this building. Kind of came up with integrated architecture in a meeting one day, kind of talking about the blueprints to the building. And they said, hey, we're actually selling our building and moving. Would you guys be interested in buying it? And from that conversation, the entire Free Enterprise Center really just skyrocketed. We've had tons of support from the community. Our goal is to raise about $12.9 million, and we raised over $10 million so far. So, and now, the last year, kind of with the pandemic, we were all under construction, kind of getting this building ready, expanding on integrated architecture's building. If you're familiar with the Grand Rapids area, if you're driving on 96 in the Cascade area, and you see that rocket ship looking building or the football looking building with the rising walls, we purchased that building and again, expanded on it and created these 3 learning labs. Construction is probably about 90% done. We're kind of putting the finishing touches on everything. Our staff moved in about a month ago, and it's really exciting kind of see how it all comes about. So, for example, I got JA BizTown kind of behind me, and JA BizTown is essentially its own small mini town. So students have to do some work in the classroom before they get to come to us. They do a 12-week program in school with their teacher and kind of learn about how a city runs. And then they get to come to JA and spend the day with us and get to they get to apply for a job. So maybe they want to be the CEO of Bissell or the vice president for Helen DeVos Children's Hospital. They get to apply for these jobs. They get hired on in these jobs. They get to vote for a mayor for the day. They create laws for the day and kind of just learn about how the city runs. They'll get they get paid, they get paid twice a day. They learn about taxes and how taxes get taken out of paychecks. Why taxes are so important to our community, how it goes, into our policing and fire department and help make our roads better, and get to learn about, everything about a business. So in the morning, maybe they have to go get their supply of vacuums at Bissell. So they get to go down to the, facility. They get to go get their vacuums for the day to sell for the day. And then they get to, be this CEO and kind of run the business and run all their employees. And then again, just kind of spend a day just learning about the ins and outs of why a business is so important and how a community runs and how when they get paid, now they get to spend the money in their town and get to buy the Bissell vacuum. So I think that one's really exciting. And one of the first facilities we're actually going to be able to run shortly. We're hoping next year, we'll be able to test run some students from Greenville and GRPS and Kelloggsville even to kind of spend the day with us after doing these programs. And then we have the Carl and Susan Haskell JA Finance Park. That is again for older students. So when they come to us, again, same thing. They have to spend about 12 weeks doing in-school programming with their teacher, and then they get to come to us, spend the day, and they get this iPad where they're told some kind of story. Let's say they are a financial advisor. They get told you make $75,000 a year, you have a family of 4. Now they get to go to, let's say, a credit union, and they have to apply for a mortgage and get to decide what kind of house they want. Now they have to go to the car shop and they have to buy a car for their family. Then they have to go pay their electric bills for the house that they purchased, et cetera, et cetera. Then at the end of the day, they have to make sure that their family budget ends up in the green. Now, some of these other students might get told, you are a nanny, you make $12,000 a year, and you have a family of two. It goes for it. For that, there are all these different scenarios. So then they get to kind of also learn about, how, why it's important to maybe go into a different job career of what kind of life you want to have. Then at the end of the day, they get to do some more career exploration where they get to spend the time, on the computer, do some personality tests, and maybe learn about what kind of jobs they might be good for based upon their passions. And then our third one, the Hayworth Entrepreneurial Incubator, it's still kind of a work in progress, but really, again, highlights the JA Company Program, which I've mentioned a couple of times before, where they're building their own business. So this one might be a little bit more after school, where they're, again, working with some kind of local entrepreneur, local business leader, and get to help them kind of build upon their own business. So it's really exciting. We hope, when the facility is full running, we'll see about 20,000 students come through every year.
That's awesome. Now, out of those 20,000, so do they have to come through like a school program, or like how like if I have a family and my child just isn't lucky enough to have that access through school, but I find value in the program, one, because I was a graduate of it. Can I plug my kid in?
That's something that we may be looking to in the future, but right now it's really just about getting the in-school program, because again, they have to kind of go through these lessons, these 12-week lessons where they kind of learn about everything before they get to spend this field trip, which is so great about, JA, the Michigan Great Lakes. We are in and are paired with over 300 schools across our footprint. And it's as simple as, if you are a parent and you learn about this and you say, wow, I really want my child to get this education. It's as simple as sending an email to your teacher, your student's teacher, and saying, hey, I learned about JA. Is this something that you can add on to supplement your curriculum with? And then maybe that teacher can reach out to us if they aren't already matched up with us, and that luckily that parent can be the volunteer in the classroom, so we don't have to spend time hunting maybe for a volunteer. It's really as easy as that. It's completely free for the school, free for the students, free for the teachers. Luckily with the support of our community, it's able to be free for everyone. But there's no real lengthy process for any schools or teachers to be involved with JA. We have a really heavy presence, in GRPS already. So a lot of our teachers and schools are already really a part of JA.
Sure. Yeah, I remember. So I also was a volunteer for JA, and then I worked with a teacher at what used to be Creston High School. And I also worked in the school that is now the Innovation Central High School, and both of those teachers brought it in on their own of their own idea, of their own volition. They didn't even wait for like the administration. They're like, this is happening in my classroom.
Yep.
So I was like, right on.
Perfect.
Sweet. I want to let everyone know that's listening in with us. If they have any questions, you can just pop into the conversation, since we just have like a small group of folks. I did want to introduce Katrina. Do you know Stephanie, who's with us here? She's just joined.
I believe Stephanie's and I have crossed a couple times. So I do know Stephanie.
How are you doing? I love this. I'm getting so excited as I listen to everything that's been going on at JA. I know we worked together a couple times on some student projects at Union.
Yeah.
And then you invited me into the class this past summer, I believe, too, to talk to students. I'm so excited about this, Katrina.
I know
really
the facility is going to be so cool, and we will have opportunities, for maybe we have, a startup grind day where we have all startup grind people who get to volunteer at JA BizTown for the day. Because of course the facility will not be able to run without volunteers. So we would love to get a whole bunch of you guys out and volunteer for the day in the future.
So, Stephanie, I'm going to put you on the spot in a minute, but Steve, first, you've had 40 years of history with this particular JA working in Michigan. The topic here is empowering our youth, entrepreneurs. What are some of the trends that you've seen these last couple of years, or what do you, from your deep involvement with the youth here, help us see around the corner? Because pre-pandemic, like global entrepreneurship, a 60-year low. But now we have the Great Resignation, and people are like starting up solopreneurs like crazy, and they all need resources, like desperate for resources, because it doesn't matter. You can be a high school graduate or a PhD, but like you guys said before, that doesn't mean that you've mastered the art of payroll or or anything else, right? So Steve, if you can help us see around the corner, maybe in the future, a few months. What's exciting to you about the moment right now?
Well, the exciting thing for me, especially as it relates to junior achievement, is this facility, as Katrina was explaining, giving students the chance to do a real world exercise that says, you have this amount of money, what kind of lifestyle do you want? If you want a different lifestyle, what steps would you have to take educationally? Do you need to move someplace else? Are you in a high cost of living area? Those kind of real world hands-on exposure in a safe environment that they can experience with junior achievement, that they can then put to practice in the real world. Corey, you asked me an awful loaded question about, so with the pandemic, what worries you and all that sort of thing. One of those JA lesson plans that I mentioned to you earlier that I recorded actually talked about that. So in March, when the pandemic hit and the market went down 38%, right? All these people were panicking and selling everything. And what should I do? What should I do? And the thing that somebody like me, who's been through 3 or 4 of those market sell-offs, says you should have done something back in January, December, before it happened, so that you're prepared for if there is an emergency, if there is a cutback. So those are some of the things that people like me who've been through it can help students, because the concern I have is someone who doesn't have that exposure, that knowledge, exposure to that experience, sees what happens with GameStop and some of these other, and Robinhood, and it's just easy. You just get in the market and you double your money and 100% every year, or Bitcoin, without doing the research, without having the knowledge and the experience to find out that there are a number of ways to be successful and own your own economic future. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be on, these short-term trying to, buy when everything is going up and then selling GameStop, but you got to realize that there's an opportunity for you to lose everything as well. And so I think that this experience with junior achievement, where they can see the advantages of getting that knowledge in a safe environment and understanding how to create wealth and own their economic future, it's a great environment for them to do that.
Thank you. Now, Stephanie, I'm putting you on the spot. I'm wondering, since you also have deep experience and expertise with youth entrepreneurship, what are some of the trends that or gaps, that you see that need to be filled, or things that you're excited about as we, plod through the mid-pandemic here, open up?
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, I had the pleasure and blessing of working with students who are trying to solve real world problems in their community. So I see a huge opportunity in innovation from the social perspective of saying, how can we take some of these real world problems, and every community is different, that students are passionate about solving. So things like poverty, hunger, violence, and also connect them to an ecosystem in the process with the city and with other people that are working in organizations looking to solve those same problems. Like, I think that is something that we need to do more of, is engage people in that part of entrepreneurship, of that social innovation and impact portion. that's what I've noticed working with students in different high schools. When I looked at working at Union, you know, some of the three things they wanted to solve were things like gang violence, hunger, and how can we take these really big topics and things and create sustainable ways to address them, and also teach in the process entrepreneurship and also civil service, and incorporating these core values and things that are so important in next generation leadership.
Thanks. And that reminds me of something that was spoken about earlier in the conversation. You mentioned that students learn a bit about systems, like systems of government and how those work, how that's directly linked in, like with business and, of course, you know, building a life. Does the program, and I'm sure Steve, you in the classroom, you might be able to speak on this. Does it talk much about like the soft skills? Because like top CEOs around the globe, they for decades, they're like, like the number one quality we look for somebody is curiosity, right? And how do you teach that? So like, is there anywhere that's covered in that? Like the exercise of, okay, like you have a family that makes 72 grand, you have a family that makes 15 grand, like building that like system of, and then putting those folks together in a conversation, that kind of builds empathy, and there's some soft skills there, but I'm just curious about like anything else.
Well, absolutely. And even so, I have worked with, of course, a wide range of schools in this area, from most recently, the last couple of years, Kellogg's own Jenison during the pandemic, and from Godwin to Coopersville. I've done career days at the City High at Innovation Central, where you are. So we see a wide range of economics from school to school, and also even within a school and within that classroom. And so trying to help them understand that there are multiple perspectives that are being brought to this. Even our company had also partnered with West Michigan Aviation Academy, and we find a number of different attitudes and histories brought to that school. So trying to get them to understand how important it is, if they want to be successful, to work as a team and to recognize the different background that everybody is bringing to this. And some of them, it's a great resource to find somebody who's used to being hardscrabble and having to, look out for every dollar, as opposed to somebody who hasn't had any problems with food security or housing security. So to recognize and to appreciate the value of all of those different positions or different backgrounds and perspectives is what I like, again, about working within this program.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. And we actually just within the last, year or so came out with one of our newer programs, JA, It's My Future skills, where they get to learn, about some of these direct softer skills with business, whether that's, interview practicing, learning how to text professionally, and which is, I think, hilarious that we have a program on now. So we actually do even have a program that directly even talks about some of these soft skills that you can learn about in business.
And I wanted to just chime in for a minute too. My name is Dr. Andrea Blue. Let me turn my camera on, sorry. My name is Dr. Andrea Blue. I am so delighted to have this opportunity to share today and learn more about what JA has to offer. So we were talking about the trends and where we are headed and where our students are headed. So I think about IT. And I think about nursing, and then we talk about business as well as those soft skills and character building. When we think about those soft, a lot of people don't like to use soft skills because it just seems like, fuzzy. But that character building is so important, especially as we are building our young people to sit at the CEO table. So when I'm talking with a group of individuals, as I'm teaching at Grand Valley or any of the other institutions, or working with students one-on-one, I just find it so important to remind students that we are gearing you up to be leaders, not just to be followers. So our goal is not to have someone tell you everything to do. We want you to sit at the table and be able to lead other people and give them guidance. So I'm so elated for this opportunity to share and learn more about JA. And I look forward to, meeting some of the students that you guys are connected to as well.
Mhm.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. Yeah, well, we are excited to continue to grow our network of, entrepreneurs and business leaders. We have, probably a solid group, about 1,700 volunteers that we work with annually. And we're always looking to expand upon that. And I'm sure my Corey will help share my contact information post-event. But if anyone, who's either watching this live or will watch this video later, is interested in either learning more about JA, how they can help, we do between our entire, footprint, we do over 20 events a year, whether that's a bowling event, a movie event, we do lots of golf outings, or we have, like I said, tons of volunteer opportunities year round. It's as small as doing a 30-minute presentation. It's called a JA Reverse Job Shadow, where you just kind of talk about you and your career path and what kind of schools you went to, what your day-to-day job looks like. Or we have our traditional program, which is the 5 to 7 week program, once a week for about 45 minutes. Or we have the company program, which is a semester-long thing. We have volunteer opportunities at our events. I mean, the ways to get involved with JA really are endless, which is what I'm, excited about. And we're thankful to Corey and Startup Grind for, giving us this opportunity to talk about JA.
Yeah. Now,
Absolutely.
Dr. Blue,
I'm sorry?
I saw you unmuted and you got subscribed. Did you have
No,
something to
I
say?
was just saying absolutely. I mean, I look forward to it. I'm sure Corey will do a great job with sharing your information, Katrina and Stephen. I love that.
Awesome. So now, Steve, you can talk about, so we've learned from Katrina how we can plug in as like a volunteer. We want to get in touch with her. We want to get in touch with JA. We learn how we can support through attending events or getting our company involved. But individually, as a volunteer and mentor, Steve, what has it meant for you, like to give in this way, like you personally? Because I know, like everyone on this call, like I mean, we're all mentoring people all day long, and so we understand what it is to be filled up. But maybe you could explain to those after a career of volunteering, what is that meant for you?
Well, first off, yes, as representing the 1,700 JA volunteers, we can't wait to get into the classroom with students, because while you and I discussed the technology that's given us the ability to continue for the last couple of years, that there's nothing like standing in the classroom with students, whether in one of the career days, I used to travel quite a bit for work. And so I take them on a trip with me, and I've 2 million miles on Delta. I show them pictures of all the places I've been, and they all get excited. And I talk about, if you want to sleep in your own bed every night, this may not be the career for you. If you enjoy this sort of thing, it's wonderful. So in your answer or your question, what do I get out of it? It's that excitement of conveying to them the possibilities that are out there, and giving them the opportunity to talk to us about what it is that's going on in their lives, in their school. I need to say that Katrina mentioned about the appropriate tweets and posts and those kind of things. By being in the classroom with some of these people, the students, when I see a post online or a tweet and they talk about the young people of today, I can very clearly explain that that is not my experience, right? My experience is that I find very engaged, intelligent, curious students in the schools. And so when I run into someone who is, denigrating the youth of today and, oh, it's not like it used to be, I can very specifically give them my experience and the hope for the future, that there are a lot of great students, and that what these students are doing trying to start their own companies, trying to own their own future. And so that really gives me hope for it with that personal experience.
Thank you very much. We just have a couple minutes. So Katrina, do you have any last thoughts, or anyone else here? I'm happy to like open it up to anyone.
Yeah, if there's no questions, like I said, I'm just, love talking about JA, and just very grateful to be, kind of in this job, and really excited to see where we grow with our new facility.
And I just want to say, wow, this is so exciting. And I'm so happy and grateful that we have this space and this talent and this opportunity here in Grand Rapids. It's amazing. Steve, what you just said just spoke to my heart and my soul, because we have so much talent in our young people, and we have young people who want to be a part of real world solutions and problem solving and innovation, and are just smart. And we to know now that we have an opportunity to even tap in more and provide this opportunity for students just really excites me. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how we can link up and partner together with Startup Grind, and also Dr. Blue and I and everyone at Grow Hub GR to provide value to the organization, but to really wrap our arms around the young people and continue to push forward. So you just got me very excited today. I'm very grateful for your work.
Glad it
And
worked.
Katrina, you know when I get excited, girl.
I know.
Watch out.
And I would like to just add too that I would like to be a support to you guys. You guys have been walking along and helping our students to, stay in the vein of doing the things that they need to do to be successful. So my thing is I come along to support you all, and to hold your arms up, to say that we see you, we appreciate you, and please don't stop, because our young people really, really need you. And I do appreciate you most of all too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Megan, you're the one voice we haven't heard from yet, and you have a pretty cool anecdotal piece of evidence here. You have a company that's in the Start Garden 100, and you shared with me that we have a pretty cool story as far as youth entrepreneurship. Maybe you can quickly mention that in the last few minutes.
Yeah, I was surprised when I showed up for our first check-in for that pitch competition to find out that we actually have a specific high school arm of kids, or high school age kids, early college, going through the program. And I don't really have the true list of names in front of me, because when you have 100 people together in one room, it's very difficult to meet everybody. But as of September 29th, we should be able to spotlight these local youth in their program, and whether or not they go on to get next round funding. So I'm really excited to pitch and plug that and look for that opportunity there.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I think one of the biggest missions that we have at Startup Grind Grand Rapids, and also at the other chapters that we've launched in Michigan, is that we want to be that connective tissue and the glue and the highway between all these really great support organizations. So to take some really amazing students out of the JA program and be like, wow, you're on fire, you need to be doing this over here with the 100 ideas. And then from there, it's like, okay, you're on fire here, now you need to be over here or over there. Like, there's so many really great support organizations, and not everyone knows where to go after they graduate from one of them, right? So that's one of our biggest missions, and that's why we please reach out to Stephanie, Megan, myself, if there's any way that Startup Grind can support what it is that you're doing, because all we want to do is elevate everyone else and just really amplify and put more gas in the fire. So Steve, any last thoughts?
I'm just really excited about the future, and by working with these young students and being in our building with the new programs, it's going to be fantastic. Really looking forward to it.
And Katrina, last word from you.
Yeah, like I said, I just want to thank all of you because again, without the support of our community, we really couldn't be where we are now with this new facility. It's just really exciting. I'm looking so forward to the day where we'll be able to ribbon cut students coming through and be able to have our first group of students coming through JA BizTown. like I said before, if anyone who's watching, like I said, this live now or watching this recording later, I'm always happy to, have one-on-one conversations about how individuals can help out or give tours to the new facility. So always happy to connect with anyone in any way. So looking forward to it.
Cool. Well, thank you both very much for the generosity of your time and for everyone else who's attending. Really grateful to see all your faces, and we'll see you all soon. All right.
Yeah. Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.